Okay, so I want to upgrade the tool post on my little 3-in-1 drill mill lathe, which is a Chester Model B. It's pretty old now, but very, very useful. I bought that collet chuck a while ago. So I want to upgrade this to a quick change tool post. I looked around the internet to see what's about, but I went for Chester's own, which is probably just imported the same as the rest of them, but you get good customer service with Chester. And this is what they sent me. The 250-100 is the tool post, and the 250-102 is the V-tool tool holder. I'll show you those in a minute. This is what you get in your kit. The handle. Who's that checked by? Some little Chinaman, no doubt. Get it out the bag. They do pack these things up well. Come out, that's it, that's got it. There you go, made in China. So probably exactly the same as the ones you can get elsewhere. And this is a piston type, which is pretty heavy. It's about 2 kilos. And I rather like it. It's this piece here is sacrificial. They just send you that to keep it all together. I think you don't actually need that. But Chester did say there needs to be modifications to get it to fit, and they suggest cutting this down, drilling it and tapping it, and somehow attaching it to the original part of the tool post. Well, I'm not quite sure I like that idea, because it sort of ruins both parts, that part and this part. So I'm going to try and do it a slightly different way, and hopefully it'll work, but we'll see. I'll show you the tool holders. Again, Chinese bits, look quite nice, nicely made. Adjuster there for your up and down. 4 bolts to hold the tool. It slides on that way. Quite nice and free, and then when you turn this grey ring it locks it. So, and why it's called the V tool, you can see in there's a V in the bottom there, and it's perfect for holding round tools. So I bought these so you can use round and square, because I think they'd be perfect for my little boring bars that I've got. So that's why I got those as opposed to the plain square ones. Right, this is the original tool post, and this bit here I think is the bit that they're on about modifying. It slots into a slot on the saddle of the lathe, so somehow they suggest attaching those two together, drilling and tapping, but as far as I can see you've got to cut and drill and tap and die and all the rest of it, both of them, so you're sort of modifying both. But I want to leave this one as it is, so that if at some stage I want to use it, put it back on, use it for something else, or another tool, different tool, you know, specialist tool, I don't know, but I don't really want to start hacking both of them about, so I'm going to leave that one as is. So what am I going to do instead? Well, I've got this lump of, I think this is about 70 by, no, it's 2.5 by 1.25 inch. I had it left over from my press brake build, and that is going to be about the right size for this bit here, which you actually still need to use with this tool, the new tool post. So I'm going to cut a piece of that off, and then this I'm going to use to go into the slot that head on the original tool holder went in, and then I've got these 12mm countersunk Allen headed bolts that I'm going to put through and tap into this bottom plate. Then this piece I'm going to drill and tap into the block and screw that in there, and hopefully that will work. I've just got to die this down a bit more so I've got plenty of meat into the job. Might sound complicated, but it will become apparent, I think. So first job is cut a piece of this off. And I say this came from my press brake build. So I don't know exactly what it is, so I'm not going to risk cutting it in my saw, although it drilled fairly well when I made the press brake. I don't want to risk the blade, so I'm going to cut it off with a cutting disc just to be on the safe side. So that's where I'm going to cut it. Let's see how long this takes me. Probably would have been better if I'd got a 9-inch cutting disc, but I don't have one. So we'll persevere with this one for now. Nearly there. Yeah, we're almost through. Ow, that's hot. Get a rag. There we go, done. Pucker. Let's just grind her up. Get the sides nice and level. I've used Chester for spares and accessories for quite a long while, and they're really good. You get great customer service. If you want to know anything, just drop them an email and they get straight back to you with some good advice. And obviously if anything goes wrong, they're just at the end of a phone line. So that's got that done. Just see if we can lay out where we want to drill it. Find the centre first. These bolts really are a little bit big. I think I would have been better with some fine 10mm socket headed bolts, but I haven't got any. This is all I've got. The next size down with socket heads I've got is 6mm, which is a bit too small. But we'll see. This might just do it. See, by the time I've got those in and the bolt in the middle, there's not going to be all that much meat left, but because they're just over 7/8 those heads, so I've got to drill some mighty big holes to set them down in. I hope we're going to have enough meat left in this block. If I set them about 1/2 inch in, that should be just enough to keep it from the edge. And so if I'd got 10mm socket headed bolts, it wouldn't be a problem, but hey ho, if it doesn't work or I find there's an issue, I can always get some bolts and redo it, because I've got plenty of the bar. Because by the time that's in there and that's in there, where's the bolt? I can't find it, and that's in the middle there. There's not going to be a lot of meat. But anyway, it's only going to be, they're only going to be countersink, I don't know, 1/4 inch or so. So the rest of it, we've still got about 1 inch of decent thread. So let's go and drill them. See how we get on with that. And just put a little tiny pilot in first. And then the bolt I'm going to put in there that's come with the job is actually 14mm, which is 12mm tapping size. So all of the 3 of these holes are going to be 12mm. The 12mm bolts should just slide through, and as I say, this would be perfect for the tapping size. So while it's all set up and it's level and lined up, I'm just going to start the thread before I move it to drill the other holes, because I want this nice and straight. I don't want this pulling any odd directions. Just get another thread or so, just so it started. That'll do it, I think. let's wind that through. Get some jollop on it. Great stuff, this CT90. Really does help with cutting, drilling, threading, anything like that. Really prolongs the life of your tools as well. This block mustn't have been anything too special because it's cutting and drilling quite nicely, so I think it probably is mild steel, but it's sort of an imperial size, and it's bright, or it looks bright. It's got that appearance of bright bar. So I don't know what it was for in the first place. Came from the scrapyard. You never know. That's going in there nicely. So by the time we've dyed that up a bit to go right through, that'll be pucker. But let's go and drill those other holes for now. Again, stick the old pilot drill in. I think this block could be a little shorter in theory. But I'm going to use it as is to start with. Let's see how we get on. So we've got to counter bore these holes. You don't need to go too deep, but you can see that's quite close to the edge. In fact, that one has just touched the edge, I think. But there you go. See if the bolts will go through. There we go. Obviously, if I'd got longer bolts, I wouldn't have needed to counter bore so deep, but you just have to use what you got sometimes, and that's all I'd got. Right, let's cut this little bit of flat off. Again, this is a little bit of 20mm by 6, I think, bright. Now, I've just marked that. I forgot to put the camera on, but basically all I did was held this underneath that and marked through it with a scriber. I'm just centre dotting. I'm just going to check that that's right, the whole centres, and that's it. Yeah, so we can drill that and tap it. And so it's a bit thin for a 12mm coarse tap. So I think, as I said earlier, it probably would have been better with perhaps a fine 10mm, but hey ho, it's all I've got. We'll see what happens. So it's not anything sort of crucial. It's, you know, I'm not using gold, so if it all doesn't work, we can start again with different bolts. But once this is bolted down, the base of it, it shouldn't need to come up again, so I can bolt it down reasonably tight once and just leave it. Unless I actually want to remove it to put the old tool post back in, I shouldn't actually need to take it apart. And having 2 bolts in there, you know, it's going to sit quite tightly with the 2 bolts. If I just had the one, it might have been a different matter. But let's drill these. 10.2 for 12mm tapping size. I've got a 3 fluted drill here. I love these 3 fluted drills. They cut so nicely, and you never get them binding in the bottom of a hole. I don't know why. Sometimes an ordinary drill will catch up as it breaks through. These never do. Brilliant they are. Can't seem to get them though. I don't know why. These all come out of sort of job lots of buying stuff. Right, let's whack a 12mm tap through here. It does look a bit overkill, 12mm in this little bit of bar, doesn't it? But never mind. Right, so there's the slot in the saddle, and I've just put them on and just ground the ends off them a little bit so they don't bottom out. It's not going to focus, is it? But you can get the idea. It's going in that slot there, like so. See, that's not going to twist anywhere. I'll just tweak them up. So I don't think they need to go horrendously tight. That ain't going nowhere. So now I've just got to die down the centre bolt to go in there, and I've put a little chalk mark as to where I want to get to. I want to go down to just under 30mm, which is the thickness. No, it's not actually. The thickness is just over 30mm. It's 1.25 inches. Anyway, I'm going to go to 30mm. That'll be enough. I don't think that stuff is too hard. Well, it might be a little bit hard, but it's cut it anyway. Taken the parkerising off. I'd love to have the equipment to parkerise all this again once it's finished, but I haven't, and I don't think I can get the chemicals over here very easily. Although I dare say I could probably use some sort of kitchen chemicals. Right, so I'm just going to put a little bit of Loctite on this, because once that's in, I don't think I'm going to want to get it out in a hurry. You know, would be able to break this if I wanted to get it out, but I want it to stay put for the time being. Just wind this on. It's going a little bit tight, so I don't think I cut that thread quite as deep as I should have done. But anyway, it's on. Just checking that it's not coming through the bottom. Lovely. Super job. So, let's see if it all works. Let's tweak her down. Manual torque wrench. The other thing I'm not going to bother with at the moment, I'll see how we get on, is the locating lug to keep it from spinning. It has got a hole in the bottom for one, so I'm not going to put one in at the moment. I'm just going to hope that doing it up with the spanner will be tight enough. But we'll see. So there we go. It all drops up and down. I made this little tool to set the heights, so that top of that edge, or that bit of bright bar, is centre of the lathe, centre of the chuck. So then you can spin it round to where it needs to be and lock her off. As you can see, that's quite a long way down, which is why I was thinking that that bottom block could be are just a touch thinner. So we'll set it up straight, just eyeball it. Nice, it's all nice and solid. Best give it a go. See what happens. Well, pretty good to me. It just takes the hassle out of trying to get tools to line up to the centre of the work. The amount of times I've put little shims in and spaces on the back and the front to get it up or down, or even have it result into having to grind bits off the bottom of some of the tools. This is just going to make life so much easier. It will allow me to use many more tools, so I'm pleased with that. Pucker, that is. So there you go. T1 tool post. This one's from Chester, but they're all much of a muchness online, and that works a treat. As I say, the only thing I might do is just whip 1/4 of an inch off of there with the mill, just so that this is more central, because it's almost at the bottom. So it's just 1/4 of an inch, or even 3/16 would do it, which I can do with the mill facility. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.